Hey there, honey bunnies. Welcome to episode 146. The power we deny or the power we're denied. Something that's been on my mind lately as the topic of power is inextricably related to money and wealth. For men also, but I work with mostly women just because that's the way it happens. I mean, men are welcome in the groups, and I used to hold groups for men, but it just has worked out that it's mostly women. So we'll talk about women and power and money, but also just on a large scale, part of the tumultuousness we're going through and wars and people just really having their fill of billionaires laying off employees so that their stock people get more money. It's just, people are just like sick of it. And I am too. And also, it always comes back to our own personal responsibility, which is unfortunate. If bitching about wealthy people abusing their employees was going to work, it would have worked hundreds of years ago. Unions help, I guess. I don't know. I'm really not qualified to speak on things like that. But it always comes back to us, what we're doing with our time, what we're allowing to live inside of our head, how we're spending our days, what we're doing minute by minute. And it really is minute by minute. There's always an awakening process going on. People who are on a spiritual path or the endlessly curious. Those of us who just can never learn enough and always are wondering what's next around the corner, the river bend. What's coming next? What's happening? And when we see things happening on the world stage, it's very easy to become entranced by it, to fall asleep in the focus on the news and all of those things. And y'all know I don't advocate not staying informed, but the phrase has just continually keeps coming about, don't deny the darkness, but don't drown in it. And I think a lot of us, as we're doing shadow work and in the state of the world, we can fall into drowning in it. When we drown in it, the shadow work we're doing that leads to empowerment is derailed a little bit. Not permanently, because life is always going to grow. But it can really take us off track sometimes and kind of lead to that sense of despair about, is the world ever going to get it? Are people ever going to not fight each other? I don't know. I don't think the people who experienced invasions, in Persia and in Mesopotamia and, all the previous cultures that have been built up and crashed down by war and built up again and crashed down and built up and crashed down. Like, this is not new. It's not even remotely new. We hear about it more, right? Because we have access to all the places in the world where this is happening. Something's being built and something's being destroyed. So, that can really be hard to handle. So, when we're talking about power, those in power, those who use their power for good, as we define it, and because, I think Meta's, Facebook's stockholders are probably like, hell yeah, thanks, Mark, for, firing thousands of employees so that we get to have more money. Because at that level, it's a game. For a lot of them, it's just a game. Like, I want my numbers bigger, not for any particular reason other than I want to win and I want my numbers bigger. Okay, so from that perspective, the things that he does are The ways he exercises his power to do those things is seen as a really good thing by the people who benefit from it. Yeah. So, how we define a good use of power and a bad use of power is, like everything else, relative to where we're standing, relative to our worldview, relative to our life experiences and our dreams and hopes and desires. So in the Train Your Body to Wealth program, Befriend Your Body, Make More Money, because those two are directly related. It's not correlation, it's causation. We're actively pushing against money until we turn this around. But in that group, we talk a lot about power. Because if you're going to have money, you're also going to have power, because the two come together. When you have more money, you by default have more power. And then we can say, and you also have more responsibility. But that's debatable. Like lots of people are, it's another one of those relative terms. What I consider responsible and what you consider responsible may be diametrically opposed to each other. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that power and money are tied together, and that does come with some kind of responsibility. But the responsibility I've been thinking of lately is the responsibility to take the power and wield power over our minute-to-minute life, our the way we go through life making micro decisions. And those micro decisions create the world around us. And that's not woo, it's not a mystery, it's not magic, it is the way it is. It's natural law. If I think everyone's out to get me, I only perceive evidence that proves my story to myself. If I think the world is benevolent and there's always hope as long as we're breathing, which I do, that is what I see the evidence of. When I want to change that, I ask of myself to find more evidence for good uses of power. Power being used in ways that I like, that I agree with, that I think are important, that fit my values. Taylor Swift is an example of that. There was a post on Threads that I shared on Instagram. My Instagram handle lately is the Wolf Codes, WOLFF codes on Instagram. I just wanted a fresh account. So I'm still using both, but I'm posting more on the Wolf Codes on Instagram. But anyway, it was a picture of Taylor Swift and how many millions she donated in 2023, like 50 million to truckers, 30 million to food banks, 20 million to animal causes. And all of the things that she does that she's catching a lot of hate for. And the picture was, they were like, we think the hardcore far-right Christian groups are mad at her because she's more like Jesus than they are. But that is research-based. When women have excess money, they tend to promote and build up and create their community. She sees the world as her community. I guess. I don't know her personally, but looking at what she donates to, those are very community focused. So to me, that's someone using their power to build and create. And the opposite is Zuckerberg using his power to deny people power, to deny people a paycheck and a livelihood in order to shift that money over to the people that he would rather have the money. So, and we can talk gender differences, but I mean, that is a piece of the research, is when men have more money, they want more money because it becomes like a game, like a numbers game, like seeing the numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger is the dopamine hit reward. Where typically women are like, the dopamine hit reward is more people are being fed, more people are being supported, animals are being taken care of, everybody's getting what they need. Yeah. So uses of power. So, but my point is, that it's even those things are like, those are happening externally. We can all see them. They're very big and loud. And then we can get lost in that, watching the big and loud, good and bad, preferred, not preferred. We can get lost in that. But it occurs to me again and again lately that we're just abdicating our power. We're abdicating our responsibility. How many times a day do you take a moment to send love out to the world? I used to do that a lot. And then, like, people I passed on the road, cashiers, people I worked with, clients, like, I used to make a practice of mentally saying, I love you. I send you love. I wish you, metta prayers. I think in some ways I'm circling back to my Buddhist practices with a different view. And Buddhism is not religion, it's a philosophy for life, and it's a good one. Biased opinion. Hashtag biased opinion. But I'm circling back to that and like, oh my gosh, I've lost somewhere along the way of the last traumatic few years, I lost my metta prayer practice of just sitting several times a day. May you, may the world, may we all be happy, may we all be healthy, may we all have freedom, may we all have room to move, may we all have access to resources. All those things I used to do a lot. And so I was sitting on the couch the other night watching Netflix. That's my decompression hour at the end of the day. And I was like, you know what? I'm sitting here right now and I contain within my own heart the power that transforms everything it touches, and that's love. And I'm sitting here and doing nothing with it. Nothing. Not thinking about it, not activating it, not generating it. I kind of got a little bit mad at myself. Like, wait a minute, Wolf. Hold on there, Laura Michelle. You have all this power that's going to waste. I made a Facebook post about it because that's what I do when I get inspired or riled up. And then I made a Substack post about it yesterday if you want to take a look at that, michellewolf.substack.com. What would the world be like if even 4 times a day we stopped and sent love to the world, activated the power in ourselves, and radiated that? So the concepts of forest Reiki, and the one Reiki teacher I studied with, Kathleen Prasad, after I'd already been a Reiki master forever, and a force Reiki person, although at that time I wasn't talking about it. When you're doing Reiki for animals, you radiate. One of the most offensive things to me is Reiki teachers that teach that you're pushing energy into the body, or that you're doing something when you're meant to amp up your own energy, connect, align, do all the Reiki things, and then be with the person. Dr. Usui attuned people by sitting next to them. There was no class, there was no hand position, there was no workbooks, there was no certification levels. He, had his experience and then was like, oh, if I get myself in this space and you sit next to me, we're talking about resonance, right? And mirroring. Like, I raise my energy up and I fill my body with it, and I take responsibility for what's in the field around me and I influence it. And then you sit next to me, I'm offering you myself as a living tuning fork, and you can modulate your energy to come into resonance with that and benefit from it. That's a Reiki session. That's a Reiki attunement. So in Force Reiki, we're doing the same thing, but we're tapping into a different source. And that's not the topic for today anyway. But it's the power to set the tone. It's the power to deliberately tune ourselves up, to deliberately reach for a state of being that is incredibly powerful, and do that on a regular basis. Once a day, minimum. Once a day, minimum. That is like the least amount of effort that will change your life. Once a day, tuning yourself up. Choosing to activate the power held within your own system. We are so powerful that we can't even wrap our heads around it. This is not a new topic of conversation, but it really is hitting me at a different level. Like, wow, as I've let go and let go and let go again of any sense that anyone can victimize me or cause me to flip into self-pity, how I have turned further and further toward my interior landscape and connection to God or the divine or whatever. Um, I generally say God or divine. I like divine. Divine beloved is my favorite. If I'm writing, I'll write dear divine beloved. But it's that inner source, like, oh yeah, you don't have control of my money, Zuckerberg. And I also am not dependent on donations from Taylor Swift. I'm not dependent on anyone. Because no matter what happens to me, I'm okay because I have decided that I'm okay no matter what. If I was living under a bridge right now, it would be my decision to make whether I was going to feel okay with that. I don't want to live under a bridge. I don't. And I don't envy anyone who, by circumstances and events, ends up living that way, unless it's their choice. I mean, there are people that live homeless by choice, what we call homeless. They don't consider themselves homeless, but if you're homeless not by your own choice, then, you know, you have all my compassion. But we have to decide that we're going to be okay no matter what. The more money that comes, we feel not okay with it. And then we feel not okay if we don't have enough money. Like I say to you all a lot, you're uncomfortable either way because life is fucking uncomfortable. So be uncomfortable in a way that makes your life better, that helps you achieve the things you want to achieve, because you're going to suffer either way. You're going to be uncomfortable either way. It's uncomfortable to not have enough, and it's very uncomfortable to move into making more than enough. So again, it's like, wait a minute, what are we bitching and moaning about? What if I took all the time that I was bitching and moaning about something and tuned myself up, did a force Reiki session, and then radiated that out to the entire world? I think my life might be a little more nice. I think I would like to go back to my Buddhist practices with this new, after taking like I don't know what, an 8-year detour or something, and go back to that, but with this amplified awareness that it's in our power right now, minute by minute, micro decision by micro decision. As you move through the day, we have a choice, this way or that way, this way or that way. Is this thought going to be driving the car today, or is that thought going to be driving the car today? Who's running the show of my life? Who's in control of my mind right now? Is it NPR? Or is it the pool in the sacred grove of Force Reiki? Which decision am I going to make? I have to make a decision or no energy moves. Not making the decision is a stagnant pool of water. Making decisions creates the motion, the movement. And we're making decisions all day long, but the decisions that we're making are pretty disempowered. I can hardly take it anymore when I'm hearing someone talk to me from the level of their ego mind. And they're like arguing for their limitations, or they're trying to chop up magic or the magical reality of life when we just let go and stop doing that mind chatter stuff. It's like I described it yesterday to Amy Hallberg, who's my book coach. I'm working on a Train Your Body to Wealth book. And I was like, it's like listening to two radio stations at the same time. And I used to be able to manage and navigate that better, but now my tolerance for it is, I don't know if it's just I'm tired lately, it's winter, or whatever, but I'm finding myself highly impatient listening to someone flowing energy run in their mouth about, and it's coming from a mind space versus someone, because what I'm hearing is the body and the soul talking and telling a completely different story, and things trying to rise up, power trying to rise up in everyone, not just women, men, everybody, theys, thems, he's, she's, hers, whatever. Everyone has access now to this incredible power. Dragons are everywhere, and dragons are the bridge between our energy and material reality through the elements. Explore that for yourself. Watch out for people talking about dragons that are tied to conspiracy theories, please, and mysterious energetic grids and scary things. That they're not about that. Form your own relationship before you go do a lot with people channeling dragons, etc., or anyone. Form your own relationship. Take the time to form your own relationship. Well, heads up, soapbox issue. Not going to go down that road. We're talking about power today, but that's a powerful thing too. Like, I don't need to go. These entities and energies are right in front of you. They're around you all the time. And you can hear them, see them, perceive them, interact with them just by setting that intention. It's that simple. So again, it's back to power. We don't need a priesthood. We don't need coaches. As a coach, I'm saying that. You don't need me. You can wake up to this yourself and say, I want to experience a different relationship with money. Okay, that's the first step, making that decision. And then a cascade of events, a very predictable sequence of events arises, and they're all related to those decisions. Deciding you're going to be wealthy in a non-negotiable voice. On my website, thatmichellewolf.com, is a blog post from 2018, and it's you can even Google it. Finding Your Non-Negotiable Voice, Michelle Wolf, and you can find the blog post. I know because I was trying to find it the other day and I just Googled it. But non-negotiable voice is also called command voice. I learned it from working with law enforcement and from being in ROTC as a teenager. I was in Air Force ROTC. Command voice is, it's this way. It's my way or the highway. It's laying down the law. It is the line in the sand. It's the you shall not pass. Orla, the Oracle, who, if you don't know her, Orla Collins, go Google her. She's awesome. She was talking about how, it dropped for her. The nickel dropped. She's heard my story about that I tell in Train Your Body about planting a staff and a vision I was given that really turned my life around. But it's the basic concept is planting a staff, planting a wish, setting an intention, making a decision that this is the way it's going to be, and holding that line. Because as soon as you do that, the gates of hell rise up against you, right? Everything goes wrong. You think everything is like terrible now because you decided you're going to be wealthy. All of a sudden money is flying out the door, pouring down the drain, etc. But you hold on to your decision with that kind of firmness, the line in the sand, the you shall not pass. Only she changed it to, I'm going to forget. In the movie Lord of the Rings, Gandalf plants the staff against the Balrog, and it's like, you shall not pass. And it's like, okay. Like, there's no negotiating that. That's command voice, perfectly illustrated. And she changed it to you shall be, or you shall come true. Basically, I'm saying it wrong, but it was like, no, that's the way it's going to be. I will not tolerate poverty in my life. I will not tolerate self-pity. I will not listen when someone is speaking to me from that disempowered place, because my job is to say, that's bullshit, and your soul and your body are saying something completely different, and it would serve you better to take some time to listen to what your body and your soul are saying about, in contrast to what your head is saying. Giving our power away. And it's an awakening process, and there's no shame in it, and there's no reason to beat yourself up about it. I had a very hard time going public with how often I spent time at pity party land, because I was so ashamed of that. That's weak. And I had lots of judgments about weak. What kind of weak ass shit is that? That's some weak sauce. Feeling sorry for yourself. It's gross, right? It's gross because we intuitively know it's highly toxic. Self-pity is incredibly toxic. You might as well just pour a bucket of acid over your head. Like, it's so toxic. And I was really embarrassed about it when I started waking up to it. So if you're waking up and being like, oh shit, my micro decisions all day are keeping me poor while I'm paying Michelle money to make me not poor, to help me be not poor. But those decisions come home again to that concept of power. You can't be a victim and drowning yourself in victim energy and think you're going to make a decision that's going to be that staff planted in the ground in that non-negotiable voice, because it's, well, I want to be wealthy, but I don't want to do this daily practice thing, or oh, it's going to cost me $697 to do the first round of the group, and it's going to cost me $57 a month if I want to stick around for the monthly. I just want the money. Can I just have the money and not have to do the work? I would love that. I would love that. It just doesn't work that way. It kills me when people describe jealousy toward someone who's really fit and healthy, but they refuse to go to the gym. Like, I'd like to have that body too, but I know myself and I'm not willing to do the work. So I don't feel jealous of that person. I'm like, go you, that you have the the wherewithal to go to the gym that often to end up with a body that looks like that. I don't have that, and I don't want it. I don't care enough about it. I need to do what I need to do to be flexible, but there's no point in being jealous of people who are doing the work that you're not willing to do and getting the results that come from that work. So again, we're power, right? We're coming from a disempowered place. I want that, but I don't feel powerful enough to have it. I don't feel powerful enough to motivate myself to go to the gym 5 days a week or whatever it takes to look incredibly toned. Yeah. So, and then all of those thoughts, just, it's like cutting open your own energy field and pouring all your energy out on the ground. It's absolutely draining and devastating. Disempowerment energy, again, is like so toxic. So the awakening process is becoming more and more and more and more aware of how we're not using our power. So then it's like, well, are we denying our power, or have we been denied our power? Well, both. We've been denied our power. Being taught that mediumship is a scary, devilish, kind of satanic thing, that's so wrong. Incredibly disempowering, and consciously created for power and control over people. Cut people off from their ancestors and turn their attention toward you, the person in control, right? Power and control. So we were denied our power by being denied education, by being denied access to our ancestors who hold that education, hold the knowledge, right? Our hedge witches, our medicine women, midwives, they were all cut off because they held the power, and the power was with the people. But if you're forming a government and you want to be the one in control, you have to find ways to cut people off from their inherent personal power. Yeah. So we've been denied our power. We have structures, etc., manufactured madness. Um, so when we're in that place where we really don't believe that we have any power because we've never known it, because we were denied it, etc., I don't know that we can make a clear choice. But what I do know is the growth of your soul is continually knocking at those barriers. Your soul is always knocking on the door. The part of you that knows that mediumship is the most natural thing on earth, and that by not being in communication with the dead, we are, it's like burning down the Library of Alexandria. Ouch, right? We just have so much knowledge that we aren't accessing because we don't know it's there. And then we've been told, oh my God, the library is scary. Don't go to the library. If you go to the library, you're going to go to hell. Ew, don't go to the library. Ew, that's a worst place. Worst thing on earth you could do is go to the library. Right? But your soul is always whispering, hey, go to the library. Oh, are you looking for an answer? There's a library over there. Go to that library. And you see libraries, somebody makes a library deck. So as we're awakening, then our personal responsibility kicks in to all day long keep catching ourselves. The practice of catching yourself all day long, making a disempowered micro decision or making a micro decision that leads to more power. And by micro decision, I mean you catch yourself, you've been sitting in front of the TV for 30 minutes, and you have that moment of, oh, fuck, I've been sitting in front of the TV for 30 minutes. And then you decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to take the next 15 minutes and go walk on the treadmill or around the neighborhood, weather permitting. I'm going to take the next 15 minutes and I'm going to sit here and amp up my love, the endless, never-ending, all-abundant power in my heart. I'm going to fill myself with that. Then I'm going to fill my house and my neighborhood. Expand, expand, expand. Hold the whole world in the space of my heart. And then I'm going to keep watching Netflix, right? I'm going to take control and make a decision that's going to benefit me and everybody else rather than, so then the alternative micro decision is sit there and bitch at myself for wasting 30 minutes in front of the TV. I can't believe you did this again. You said you weren't going to sit. You said if you were going to watch TV, you were going to have to be walking on the treadmill. Oh my God, you're so la la la, blah blah blah. Woof woof woof. Right? Those are the micro decisions I'm talking about. A moment of awareness, and then you decide what you're going to do next. A moment of, oh, I'm overthinking. I have been wandering around all day, just worrying about something that might or might not happen. All right, what am I going to do now? In this moment, at 11:37 a.m., I've been walking around worrying for 7 hours. What do I want to do next? Okay, that's where the power truly lies, in those micro decisions. I'm awake for a second. I make a decision to go back to sleep, to go bitch and moan, to feel sorry for myself, to be mad at other people, to attack. It's like, oh, I can't even stand talking about it, right? That's where our personal responsibility is. That's where we can't afford to indulge our familiar bad feeling place. We can't afford to indulge it. It is an indulgence and it's toxic. And we all do it, but we all are aware now that we don't have to do it. You don't have to think a thought. You don't have to beat yourself up. You don't have to talk shitty to yourself. You don't have to cruise social media. You don't have to feel poor. You don't have to avoid your numbers. You don't have to hate the rich. You don't have to do any of it. You also don't have to do something different. But if you want what you say you want, you're going to have to make different decisions, and then you're going to have to plant that staff in the ground with non-negotiable energy. I will have more than enough money. I do have more than enough. I'm already wealthy, and I'm going to stop telling myself otherwise. You're listening to a podcast, which means you have wealth in the form of something to listen to it, and in the form that you have enough attention that you can listen to a podcast. If you're working in a factory, you don't really have the attention to give to philosophical thinking. You're wealthy already. I'm never, ever, ever going to tell myself I'm poor again. Not ever. Non-negotiable. I am not poor. I have been poor. There were times I thought I was poor, but I wasn't. And the poor I experienced is still wealthy compared to other places. Never telling that story again. When you fully 100% decide that life is going to be different, everything around you is going to tell you you can't make that it's a bad decision, that people are going to say all these things happen, but your only job is to say, yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you think that, whatever. I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to stop my day 4 times a day and amp up and radiate power and upliftment and love and energy toward other people awakening to their own power. That's my job. Because I just made it my job. I just made my own job. My job is 4 times a day. That's what we do around here. I used to do that a lot. And I'm glad to have caught myself and been like, yeah, I need to go back to that. I need to go back to remembering how powerful I am. And there's absolutely no reason for me to ever feel terrible. Now, we're going to have times we feel terrible, yeah, but we don't stay there. We're going to have times that we feel gloriously happy. We're not going to stay there either. We're not going to stay happy, and we don't have to stay sad. We're not going to stay ecstatic and swimming in the oneness. We're also not going to stay in despair if we choose. You're always going to be in and out, this feeling, that feeling, this feeling, that feeling, just like water, just like the ocean, always in motion, always changing. There's no reason to hang on to any of it. When joy is present, you might take different actions than when sadness is present. It might go a little bit different. But you stay aware. Where am I? What am I doing? What do I want to be doing? Where do I want to be? Here's how I'm feeling. What do I want to feel? Do I want to stay with this feeling of grief? Maybe. You might be honoring someone. You might be doing the thing. But you're aware and you're awake and you're checking in with yourself. Do I want to lay here and feel sorry for myself? I never say yes to that anymore. Never. Because it's toxic. The cost of feeling sorry for myself, the cost of indulging my familiar bad feeling place has become exponentially more damaging than it used to be, because now I'm really aware. Now I really get it. That's a damaging place for me to hang out. And the bounce back recovery time is not worth that moment of indulgence. Just like eating a donut. I freaking love donuts. But the 90 seconds or 2 minutes it takes to eat a donut, that moment of indulgence and 2 minutes or 3 minutes of pleasure, is followed by all the things that sugar does to me, and usually triggering obsessive thinking about, well, I already ate 1 donut, I should probably eat 50. And I should probably eat donuts all day until I'm just sick, right? Crazy, crazy things sugar does to my brain. So, yes, we have been denied power. And once we've woken up to that, any further denial of power, that's on us. That's directly on our own shoulders. We've been lied to, we've been tricked, we've been kept in the darkness of ignorance, but we're not anymore. And so everything after that, that's on you. That's on me. That's my job to stay awake and fall asleep and wake myself back up. Fall asleep, wake myself back up. And then make those decisions throughout the day. What am I doing? What do I want to do? What am I feeling? How do I want to feel? I'm spending my time doing this. Is that really what I want to spend my time doing? Is this leading me to the goal that I say I want? And recognize that when you say, what am I doing? What do I want to do? I'm not talking always about action. What am I doing? Sitting here watching TV? What would feel really good to me to do? To take 15 minutes and send love out to the entire planet. And then go back to watching TV. And then a few hours later do something else. Maybe a few hours. See, I love TV. Okay, is this making sense? I know I've been super repetitive, but I also know that when I'm trying to break through mind chatter, you have to be repetitive. Because the thoughts, I'll say something and then the thoughts start and then they go off and you miss pieces, right? That's why sometimes I re-listen to my own podcasts and I'll hear stuff that I didn't even, I'm like, who said that? Oh, it's my I said that? And you re-listen to recordings sometimes and you're like, I don't even remember hearing that. Because that's just the nature of it. Yeah? Okay. So we've been denied power. We know that. And now we can no longer deny ourselves power. Let's think about that. So until next time, think less, feel more. And I'll talk to you later.